My name is Sabrina Linton, and I'm 35. Competence doesn't shout. It hums. Under the dishwasher that slides into off-peak at 12:01 a.m., under the lamps that warm the room a breath before dusk, under the last green square in my budget app that signals the month's last bill is paid. People mistake that hum for softness, for something pliable. Nets are quiet too, until someone falls. Ethan Harper, my fiancé of 8 months, always joked about my buzzkill tendencies. He grinned the day he rolled a box into my condo, the one I bought 2 years before we met. My deed, my rules, my carefully timed lamps. He liked predictability when it was convenient. He didn't like it when it meant I wouldn't bend. It started 6 weeks ago, a normal Tuesday, or so it seemed. Ethan had just returned from his sister Vanessa's engagement party, a night lubricated with too many glasses of wine and the obligatory family comparisons. Driving home, he broke the quiet. "You know what I love about us?" he said, eyes fixed on the road. I paused, hands folded in my lap. "What's that?" I asked, expecting some sentimental line. "We're practical, no fairy tale nonsense. I'm marrying you for stability, not love. Don't expect romance." I blinked, processing the words with the same calm detachment I used to balance my accounts. Practical. Stability. Not love. His honesty hit like ice in the blood, sharp and deliberate. "You mean exactly what you've been saying all night?" I asked, voice soft but deliberate. "Yes," he said. "I've been honest from the start. Love fades. Security doesn't. I want a partner who keeps my life organized, who presents well at dinners, who looks like a model citizen at my company events. That's what matters. I had passionate love before, with my ex-girlfriend Claire. Look where that got me. Broken, heartbroken. I'm choosing reliability now. Don't get weird about it." I nodded, expression neutral, though my mind began its quiet, methodical calculations. Reliability. Reliability, he said. We pulled into the driveway of my condo. "Just so we're clear," he said, turning to face me. "No grand romance, no surprise trips, no rose petals. I'll be a good fiancé in all the ways that matter, keeping the house in order, hosting dinners, making sure you eat well, but don't expect a love story." I studied his profile against the streetlights flickering on. His words had a symmetry, a precision, like everything else in his life. Practical, ordered, predictable. And yet, he had no idea that I understood clarity as well as anyone. That night, after Ethan went to bed, I made a small list. Not of grievances, not of revenge. A simple inventory. The condo, my accounts, my documents, my security. Every contract, every receipt, every minor detail that might one day matter. I lined up the chess pieces in my mind, each move deliberate, invisible, inevitable. I didn't speak to him about it. I didn't have to. The seed had been planted. His manifesto, his honesty, had given me exactly what I needed, the permission to act with clarity, without guilt, without hesitation. In the days that followed, he resumed normalcy, half-hearted wedding talk, casual dinners, quiet companionship. He believed we were stable. He believed everything was fine. I smiled at him, poured his coffee just so, arranged the books on the shelf in ascending order. He trusted that calm exterior. He couldn't see what was brewing beneath it. Because competence hums quietly, and nets are quiet too, right until someone falls. Ethan wanted a grand wedding, champagne, a country club ballroom, a photographer who could make every guest look like royalty. I kept nodding, listening politely, all the while calculating. "Don't you think we should at least visit a few venues?" he asked one evening, laptop open to a sparkling country club gallery. "Actually, I've been thinking," I said, deliberately casual. "Maybe a courthouse wedding is more practical, saves money, less stress." He froze, fingers hovering over the trackpad. "Courthouse? Are you insane? What about presentation? What about memories?" "Presentation is subjective," I said, "and memories can be made anywhere. Practicality, Ethan. You taught me that." He stared, brows furrowed, caught between indignation and disbelief. It was almost poetic. The very words he had used now turned back on him. I didn't stop there. Quietly, methodically, I began to safeguard my future. First, the condo. I met with my property lawyer and confirmed that since I owned it outright before we met, and Ethan had never contributed to mortgage or major repairs, he had zero claim. I got that in writing. Then I moved important documents, jewelry, and valuables into a safety deposit box. Finally, I found a 2-bedroom apartment closer to my work, put down a deposit, set a move-in date 3 weeks out. All the while, I kept a record of Ethan's own words. Multiple conversations were carefully logged. One evening, he even repeated, almost gleefully, his stability over love speech, unaware that I was recording it. Legally, it was one-party consent. Practically, it was an insurance policy. At dinner, he couldn't stop himself from comparing us to others. Did you see Jessica at dinner? Brad worships her. 3-carat ring. Bora Bora. Isn't that romantic? I cut my steak slowly, deliberately. Sounds romantic. Thought romance was for movies? He flinched, momentarily disarmed. It's different when it's tasteful, he said, voice a touch defensive. Jessica deserves to be spoiled, but that's not our arrangement. I smiled faintly. No, it's not. You asked for practical. You'll get practical. Ethan didn't see it yet, but the web was spinning. Each subtle suggestion, each tiny adjustment to plans, every casual remark was a move in a game he didn't know we were playing. Even when he tried to initiate intimacy that night, I deflected. I'm tired, I said, deliberately tired. The kind of exhaustion that comes from carefully maintained patience rather than physical labor. Long day. Maintaining stability isn't easy. He blinked, frustrated. Are you being petty? Practical, I corrected. Physical intimacy without emotional connection seems pointless. You taught me that. He stormed off to the guest room, muttering under his breath. Perfect. By the end of the week, the plan was set. Apartment, deposit, moving arrangements. Legal protection established. Documentation in order. The pieces were quiet, invisible, and in place. All that remained was the execution, and a subtle reveal that would leave Ethan stunned. I couldn't help but feel a flicker of satisfaction. He had asked for clarity. He had asked for honesty. He had asked for practical. And in a few short weeks, he would get it, in a form he hadn't imagined. Because competence hums quietly, and nets, quiet as they are, catch the ones who leap without looking. 3 weeks later, the timing was perfect. Ethan had a full day planned. Spa appointment with his mother, errands, calls, all the little distractions that made him think he controlled the world. I moved like a shadow, quiet, deliberate. That evening, he was trying on outfits for his cousin's wedding. Which one makes me look more successful, he asked, holding up 2 tailored suits. They both look fine, I said, not looking up from my laptop. Fine? Sabrina, this is important. Your +1 reflects on you. I closed the laptop with the soft click of inevitability. Actually, about that, I'm not going. He froze, suit half lifted from the hanger. What? We RSVP'd months ago. You should still go. I have plans, I said, calm, unshakable. Moving. Moving where? His voice rose, disbelief lacing every syllable. Why would we move without discussing it? Not we. Me. I'm moving out tomorrow. The room went through a spectrum of shock, disbelief, and anger, all compressed into 3 seconds. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. This is a joke, right? No joke, I said softly, almost apologetically, but my tone carried the weight of inevitability. Ethan dropped the suits onto the bed, storming closer. You're seriously leaving me over one conversation? One conversation, I echoed. Not one. One truth. You told me repeatedly, stability over love. You made that your manifesto. I'm simply taking it seriously. He flinched as if the words themselves were blows. Meal ticket? You moved into my house. You've contributed nothing to mortgage or major repairs. Sometimes groceries, a gift here or there, your car. Paid by me. That's the arrangement you outlined. I won't participate in a business masquerading as a marriage. He was silent now, angry tears threatening to break through. I took a deep breath, steady, unflinching. I make your life better. I make you look successful. That's different from love. That difference is crucial, and I refuse to ignore it. He sank onto the bed, hands covering his face. We're getting married in 5 months. No, I said, lifting my engagement ring and setting it carefully on the dresser. Not when the terms were dictated by your fear, your past, and your obsession with practicality. I refused to participate in a marriage without genuine affection. Phones emerged, calls to mothers, sisters, friends. Linda, Ethan's mother, screamed through the speaker, words tumbling over one another about commitments, embarrassment, and the morality of my actions. Linda, I said evenly, your son explicitly told me he's marrying me for financial security, not love. I am simply declining that offer. This is not personal, it's practical. Ethan's sister Vanessa attempted reason, her voice trembling between loyalty and logic. Daniel, sorry, Ethan, this is extreme. She says things she doesn't mean sometimes. She meant it, I said. She confirmed it multiple times. Multiple people heard it, even her friends. Ethan's hands shook now, his composure fractured. You can't do this. I'm going to be homeless. You have a job. You can afford an apartment, just not this one. The next morning, movers arrived, while Ethan was still at the spa, oblivious. By the time he returned, the living room was empty, my things secured, and my notice quietly resting on the kitchen counter. What the hell, Sabrina? He shouted, pacing the room. Language, Ethan, I said, calm as ever. Everything you see here is mine, purchased before we met, or otherwise secured legally. You have 30 days to find alternate housing. He grabbed his phone, called his mother, his sister. I heard the yelling, the pleas, the incredulity. I remained quiet, internalizing every syllable, noting every reaction. Because competence hums quietly, and nets are quiet too, right until someone jumps. That evening, I walked past the empty rooms, the echo of my own steps, a reminder of what stability truly meant. Practical, orderly, inevitable. And Ethan, he had no idea the game had already been won. Ethan didn't take the move quietly. The 30 days notice became a battlefield. Texts arrived at all hours. Baby, please come home. I didn't mean any of it. I love you so much it scares me. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't respond. Silence was my shield. Then came threats. Legal threats, emotional threats, thinly veiled attempts to guilt me into returning to a practical marriage that only suited him. I'll sue for false engagement. You owe me for 3 years of my life. My lawyer says I have rights. He had friends in the legal field, acquaintances who watched daytime drama shows, and a single friend lawyer, Patricia, who was all too eager to help. I anticipated each move, documenting everything with precision. Texts, emails, video of him throwing tantrums, the unauthorized dinner party he hosted in the living room, even minor property damage he caused. The first escalation came in person. Ethan had invited 15 friends over while I was at the grocery store. The living room, once my sanctuary, was transformed into a party scene. Wine glasses, scattered plates, laughter spilling over, as if normalcy could erase the notice on the kitchen counter. Everyone, look who finally made it, he announced when I arrived, voice dripping with forced cheer. I paused in the doorway, studying him. This is Stephanie's birthday dinner? Yes, I mean you said it was fine. No, I didn't. I said you have no right to host parties here. You are a tenant with a termination notice. Guests shuffled uncomfortably. Stephanie's eyes pleaded for forgiveness, but the message was clear. This was his escalation, my calm countering. Glass shattered as Ethan, in frustration, threw a wine glass against the wall. I calmly pulled out my phone. That's property damage. You'll be paying for that. By now, his mother, Linda, was on speakerphone, trying to spin the situation, claiming I was overreacting, cruel, unreasonable. I remained composed. Linda, your son admitted multiple times he wanted only stability, not love. I am honoring that clarity. Any further harassment or interference will be documented and legally addressed. Ethan's sister, Vanessa, attempted reasoning once again, voice shaking between anger and disbelief. Sabrina, this is extreme. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I said, steady. Extreme is protecting myself from a relationship I never agreed to. It's practical. Social media became the next arena. Ethan posted old photos of us, captions praising our true love, spinning a narrative that made him the victim. I countered quietly, posting only a clear, factual statement. Ethan Harper and I are no longer together. He repeatedly stated he wanted stability over love. I am seeking a relationship built on genuine affection, not financial convenience, wishing him the best in his search for a practical arrangement. The online responses were a mix. Some outraged on his behalf, others skeptical. None could dispute the documentation I had meticulously compiled. Then came the final, audacious escalation. He called my HR department. An anonymous complaint alleging erratic behavior, instability, possible substance abuse. I was summoned to a meeting, heart steady but cautious. I presented the documentation, the notice, text, video of property damage, and social media posts. The HR team listened, eyes widening at the clarity of the evidence. No harm came to my employment, but Ethan had tried every angle: threats, social manipulation, emotional warfare to destabilize me. When he returned home to find his things in boxes, organized neatly in the garage apartment I had prepared, his fury was palpable. "You think you've won?" he spat, crumpling the cease and desist letter I handed him. "I don't think," I said softly. "I know. This relationship is over. You wanted practical. You have practical." The door slammed behind him, a final punctuation mark on 3 weeks of careful, deliberate orchestration. I walked past the empty rooms once more, noting the echo of my footsteps, each sound a testament to calm, meticulous control. Because competence hums quietly. And nets? Nets catch exactly the ones who leap without looking. It had been 3 months since Ethan moved out. The condo felt quieter, smaller, yet infinitely lighter, each item in its place, each corner orderly, the perfect reflection of the life I had reclaimed. The aftermath was predictably chaotic on his side. Friends reached out, some sympathetic, some convinced I had overreacted. Ethan had spun his own narrative. Sabrina is cruel. She's unstable. She humiliated me publicly. I responded with facts, calmly, repeatedly. He admitted he wanted stability over love. Everything else was fiction. Meanwhile, social media was alive with his misadventures. Dinner parties, false proclamations of romance, new suitors, paraded and curated photos, all attempts to prove he could secure what he had lost. He hadn't learned that stability, like love, cannot be forced. And then, poetic justice. Ethan started dating someone new, a woman named Caroline, an ambitious, calculating professional. Their relationship mirrored the transactional one he tried to impose on me. Social posts flaunted a curated perfection, Instagrammable smiles, expensive dinners, luxurious trips. I scrolled once, sipped my coffee, and smiled. He was getting exactly what he had wanted, a practical arrangement devoid of genuine connection. I, however, found something different. His absence left space for someone real. Logan, a fifth-grade teacher with a soft laugh and a slightly battered Honda, entered my life in the simplest way. Bookstore meeting, shared love of mysteries, effortless connection. Genuine, spontaneous, unpredictable, the opposite of the controlled chaos Ethan craved. We spent evenings in my new apartment, grilled cheese sandwiches at midnight, detective shows humming softly in the background. Logan fell asleep with his head on my shoulder one night, murmuring, "I love you." And I said it back, truly. It struck me then. Love had never been about practicality or stability. Love was presence, trust, laughter, quiet companionship, something Ethan had traded away for appearances, and something I now embraced fully. Looking back, Ethan had done me a favor with his honesty. He revealed exactly who he was and what he valued. Money, status, control, not partnership. I gave him exactly what he asked for, a practical end to a practical arrangement. Boxes, notices, boundaries. He had wanted stability without passion. I delivered. And in return, I found stability I actually craved. Emotional, unwavering, real. Logan didn't care about my condo's value or my budget spreadsheet. He cared about me. And that, more than any mortgage, any social post, any legal documentation, was priceless. Ethan's calculated life continued elsewhere. My life, messy, imperfect, alive, was finally mine. And for the first time in years, I didn't just survive, I thrived. Because competence hums quietly, and love, real love, finds its own way.